Oh my god, guys, we are finally here. Nordic country focus trees. Not Road to 56, not a mod, not anything like that. No, Hearts of Iron 4, new expansion, just announced. We are finally getting proper Nordic focus trees. Guys, I am so very excited about this. This is something that has been needed for flavor for the game for quite a long time, and it's kind of sad how long. The game is 7 years old, and there has not been nearly as much development that has been put into the North, despite being such a key part of the early stages of the war. Hell, Swedish neutrality was such a key aspect for the German war industry that it's amazing that nothing else is really touched upon for it. Though, of course, the trailer in here isn't exactly showing us much. It's just showing the winter, which I'm assuming that the focus of this, specifically how, let's see, this says Norway, so I'm guessing this is going to have a whole aspect for, like, Norwegian saboteurs, and also, possibly, we're going to be going into the whole thing with the Winter War and Finland. But the question is, what exactly is this expansion going to bring to the game? Is this something that is going to focus exclusively on just, say, the Nordic countries, or is it going to expand upon the system itself of the game and add things, just like how Man the Guns changed everything for Navy, No Step Back did everything for like tanks and plane designers, all these different things? Well, let's look. We have the dev diary right here. And normally I'm not a person that necessarily goes into a lot of stuff for dev diaries, but this gets me rather excited, and I cannot wait to be able to create some videos based off this stuff, because from what I've been able to see, there is some pretty cool things coming. So included in the Arms Against Tyranny, which personally I think that's a really awesome name here from the very beginning, just as a setup for the entire DLC, because it's kind of true. The expansion to Paradox's interactive celebrated grand strategy war game about the tumultuous years around the Second World War adds new focus trees and alternate histories for the northernmost nations of Europe, customization of weapons manufacturers, and new ways to take advantage of neutrality to profit your own citizens. I like that. It seems like it's adding in RP aspects. First off, the Winter War, relive the defining moment of Finnish history, define the odds in a war against a much more powerful Soviet adversary. Though disadvantaged in air and armored forces, Finnish forces have a strong advantage on homeland defense, so you should prepare an army specifically designed for Finland's terrain to fight invaders. Very cool. Looks like it's going to be expanding upon some different aspects of something that was already in the game. A powerful Sweden, which it's, again, amazing that Paradox, a Swedish company, has not done anything with Sweden for 7 years. That really is surprising. It talks about neutrality, but how the strong unions of the nation are breaking the government and will completely break the government unless you can keep good amounts of work for people going. And Norway and Denmark, the ones that naturally were getting invaded by all the others, and of course presenting their different paths that you could possibly do with it. All of this is to be expected in the first place here with just adding a focus tree, but what I'm really excited about is not necessarily just the focus trees. It's great that they're getting official focus trees that can work within the game, but the mechanics that they're adding to it just seem really cool. Check this out. A war machine of your design. To make sure that you have an industry that matches your ambitions, national manufacturers and weapon designers can specialize their craft, improving the production and research of various items throughout the course of the war. No more is it going to be just that flat, oh, here's the industrial focus, here's plus 15% research speed towards industry. No. You actually are going to be able to customize and change aspects of your military industry to hyper specialize, which is awesome, because that just means that in things like multiplayer that we're going to see even more developments for people trying to specialize towards specific things. Imagine, if you will, a multiplayer game in which someone has hardline specialized in aircraft, in tanks, in these kinds of things. They've created very specific aircrafts that they get specific bonuses for, and that's what they focus on to be able to produce, which even for a small nation, if you specialize well enough, that could really change the tide of war. Also, of the things that you've produced, guns for butter in the new international market, which, are we getting a black market kind of thing? Or not exactly a black market, but an arms market specifically for Hearts of Iron 4. You can become an arms exporting powerhouse, not just lend-lease anymore, but selling weapons to other nations in return for civilian factory output, increasing your own industrial production at home while fueling the fires of war abroad. That is awesome, and it sounds like it is amazing for smaller nations that normally can't get involved in everything. I can imagine there being a nation that is just selling really cheap guns that they've been producing from the very beginning of the game, that they have a stockpile of, say, like 30,000 after like 3 years, just because they've built a whole bunch of guns, but they don't really have anything to do with them. Now, with some of these smaller nations, especially if you already start with a semi-decent military output, that means that you can sell your equipment now for output to increase your industry further. That is awesome. And this one I know nothing about, but I'm very curious. New military options, many updates and changes to design. I know that support companies are getting a whole rework, so that's going to be nice. But changing of military divisions, including customization of special forces units, divisional specializations, and more. This could potentially change completely the meta of the game, and that is something that I really love to see. Something with is going to provide more variability. New unit art including Finnish snowmobile brigades. Oh my god, hold on. Like Finnish cavalry, but basically meant for the snow. I would love to see snowmobile divisions that got just huge bonuses during certain parts of the year. Like what? How often is there snow in the northern parts of Russia and Finland? Like we're looking at what, 4 months out of the year where there's not potentially snow, which means that for most of the year they get huge speed bonuses potentially. It's like bicycle divisions, but I would imagine bicycle divisions, they're moving at like 10 miles an hour or something, but it's infantry. Maybe? I don't know. That seems incredibly cool. But okay, out of all the nations that they're focusing on here from the beginning, the one that is probably involved the most from the beginning is Finland. So that appears to be what they are focusing on, or at least this was the initial dev diary that they were talking about for the upcoming work. In 1936, Finland found itself in a complex political, diplomatic, and military situation. Despite being a democratic nation, nationalism and right-wing ideology is on the rise, and the proximity to the Soviet Union makes it vulnerable to aggression. Yes. In terms of military, the Finnish armed forces are poorly trained with an army that was ill-prepared to defend the country's borders. But despite this, Finland has a long history of military valor and determination, and its soldiers have proven to be fiercely loyal to the country on multiple occasions. Okay, so after going and covering this, they naturally start with the national spirit of Sisu, which gives them some defensive bonuses here on the home front, which is nice. Yeah, I like how it goes in the whole thing for Sisu and explaining as a Finnish concept that it doesn't really have an English equivalent, but it is like stoicism, tenacity, resilience. It's not giving in even under pressure. But from what I can see, yeah, Sisu is a lot weaker than it was initially in the like prior to the DLC. What's with the reduction? Oh, it starts out weaker because it starts out very basic, so you can't rush anything. But the version of Sisu is not the definitive one because there are 5 stages of the Sisu national spirit, and they're tied to the balance of power mechanic. So depending on how you manage your politics, that can determine the greater strengths that you're going to get. Very cool. They talk about Finland, its political instability, its relation to Nazi Germany at the time, and how it was a supporter, or rather, not exactly a supporter of Germany, but specifically that they worked together in order to combat the Soviet Union. And the balance of power in the prime minister here is a public trust system. What? So each of the prime ministers, they have a personal agenda that the balance of power is specifically towards whether people like him or not. And that's the whole system for public trust. Public trust, the balance of power, represents the trust of the people in their president and how this affects the Finns and their means to overcome harsh times. It ties together with the balance of power with the Finnish spirit and the Finnish leadership. Oh, as mentioned before, in the beginning, he doesn't have much trust, so you have to earn this over time in order to get stronger. Interesting. Ooh, very high trust. If you can get all the way up here to the very top, 60 to 100%, Sisu gets an additional minus 5% attrition, plus 5% recovery rate, an additional 10% attack, and 5% defense on core territory. Plus, you get additional recruitable population, stability, and war support. Yep, that is great. There will even be events here towards changing your leader, and simultaneously you can change it through decisions. That is pretty cool. And then it shows all the different non-aligned leaders they potentially have, along with their effects, because I guess different ones are going to have different bonuses depending on the style of play that you want to go for. Oh man, even Mannerheim. I know there are a bunch of Finns who are going to be so excited about getting Mannerheim in here for some proper effects. Which, on that note, means a lot more Finnish advisors that you could potentially get from here. There's apparently a lot more than what you can see here, a lot more military commanders, just a lot more figures overall and things that are being added. Also, Finland now starts the game with a fair amount of generals to choose from, which is great. That means a lot more military options to lead from with proper, decent leaders. Ones who are specialized in using the terrain and weather conditions. I can already see in here we have more winter experts and also forest experts like the Rangers. Ooh, this is going to be really good fighting in Finland and also the northern parts of the Soviet Union. Veteran Jaeger. Is that a new one? I haven't seen that here before. Equipment capture ratio already plus 3% for capturing enemy equipment. That is huge. Plus Trickster gain experience. Oh, wow. They get experience towards all these different things to be able to develop. That is really nice. The veteran Jaeger trait is used to represent officers who, during World War I, volunteered to train in Germany as Jaegers during the Great War and the Civil War in Finland. Oh, that is very nice. And apparently you can even go and unlock more generals to have. Oh, that's very good. That's so nice. Laurie Turney. Wait. We have Laurie Ellen Turney. I don't remember him being in here in Finland before. Oh, baby, you know that we're going to have to specialize and use him. That's going to become a primary general for a Finnish playthrough immediately as soon as this DLC comes out. For those of you unfamiliar, Laurie Ellen Turney is he's the soldier of three armies. He fought for the Finns, he fought for the Nazis, and he fought for the Americans. He's the only soldier to have fought for these like three different forces, all in the name of screwing over the communists. He hated the Soviet Union and what it was doing to Finland. More industrial designers. Here you can see, here's more of the effects from the military industrial organization, where you can actually see the developments that you're going to be able to utilize for changing up your industry and specializing it. Here you have a list of Finnish MIOs featuring more generalist MIOs for ships, aircraft, and tanks. The tank one is actually not historical, but it's still a possibility if you want to focus on tank development as Finland, and dedicated infantry equipment, guns, and motorized MIOs, which, yes, that's probably one that would end up happening here because of Finland's focuses. All of these MIOs contain unique traits, some specific to the MIO itself, some specific to Finnish MIOs, most of which will be unlocked by different focuses. And you can see the developments in here from being able to work down and develop things for production, technology, and materials department towards your resources and developments for those factories. Not the factories, like these industries. I am so excited to be able to play around with this and see what it is that we can do. I really want to see what kind of hyper specializations could be made in the future game when it comes out, to see what it is that we could potentially break as specific nations that get bonuses. All right, Finland is getting several new states, which is nice. It just means more variants that allow you to control things. A significant number of victory points have been added, which is good. A lot of them are low value because, of course, it just means that there's more things that have to be done to be captured in order to actually take over Finland itself. There is some research adjustment, and more importantly, infrastructure has been drastically reduced in most of the states to better represent the real situation of roads and communications in most Finnish regions. Okay, so you'd have to work through that, and you specifically have to work to improve your infrastructure to deal with low supply areas and winter attrition. So these changes would potentially cause more harm to enemy forces attempting to invade Finland from the north versus if you're on supply. So if you built up your infrastructure, it would just be harder to actually defend it because that means more supply for the enemy too. And then Finland is getting its own focus tree, which is a little modest in size, but it's a lot better than a general one, I can tell you that much. The goal of which is actually important: surviving the war at all costs. I love this. I love that we're finally getting these developments here. I'm really excited about the MIOs. I'm really excited about what we could see for these industry. I'm very excited for this concept of being able to be an arms dealer and sell weapons and see how that develops, because I'm curious to see about a peaceful playthrough about what happens if you just sold weapons to everyone and rapidly boosted up your industry. Like an American game where it is a true arms dealer America that is entirely focused on selling weapons to everybody. I'm curious to see what would happen in those circumstances. I'm very curious. Just let the entire world bleed out its population, only to maybe in the very end invade them ourselves. I don't know. I'm very curious. Either way, that is the end of the dev diary. Let me know, I guess, in the comment section below whether or not we should continue with more of these dev diaries as things come out, if you want us to talk about them so that we can get excited together for the hype train of what's coming. And the moment that I get access to any of the stuff, you know that I'm going to be playing around with it, and then I'm going to be telling you all whatever I can when I am allowed. So everyone, please like the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below what it is that we should do next, and I will see you all next time. Let's look forward to this, and hey, arms against tyranny, everybody. It's coming.